Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I am here with a bullet journal flick through, as you can see. Before we get started, I just want to apologise for this humongous bruise on my hand. We can just ignore that, that would be fantastic. It's just from an operation cannula thing. Looks like I've been in a fight. I haven't, I promise. So, it's been a while since I've done a bullet journal video. I think the last one that I did was my April spread, if I remember rightly. Whatever the last one was, I will put that in the link down below, link it down below. So I'm going to flick through November, but before I get started, I just wanted to talk to you guys a little bit about starting a bullet journal, because I asked on Instagram about any questions to do with bullet journals, and the one I got the most was, where do I start? So I mean, I could do a whole video on this, and I might actually do that because everybody's got a different idea about it. But I started mine, I think this is my third bullet journal now, I think it is. And I started mine by just watching a lot of other people's videos. And I decided to start with the kind of official bullet journal, and I still have that because I've been getting it for gifts and stuff. So I've got the lectern bullet journal with the dividers in, which I don't really use, and the page numbers in, which I also don't really use now. So if you start with an original bullet journal, then you get some tips and tricks and things in here, the index pages, which actually you can see I don't use anymore. I used to use them. But what I would suggest is, if you don't know where to start, watch a ton of videos. Look on Pinterest. I've got a bullet journal board on my Pinterest, which I'll link down below, and find a style that you like, but don't think that it has to be a really aesthetically pleasing journal, because it really doesn't. It's really whatever you want. And as we go through this video, I'm going to show you some months previous. I'm going to start where this one begins in July, and I'm going to show you how simple my July and August spreads are compared to where I've got to in November. But if you go back to my old videos, you'll see that the style really changes, and there were a couple of moments where I really didn't like what I had put together, and you just learn as you go. There's no right or wrong. Some people like the real minimalistic way, other people prefer something a little bit more artistic or slightly more kind of almost like a travel journal style, so a lot more photos and a lot more writing. I tend to go between the two depending on what mood I'm in and what my focus is. And if you don't want to get the original bullet journal, any notebook will do. It doesn't have to be dotted. It can be blank, it can be lined, it can really be whatever you want it to be. The main point of the bullet journal is the listing of your tasks in this kind of fashion. So these journals will tell you, I think it might be, I use the back pages for all sorts of things. I've got to be careful here because I occasionally write a lot of stuff down here. In fact, I've actually ripped the page out, which is really helpful. But yeah, it tells you at the back how to use the system. It gives you lots of different ideas. So maybe if you're new, start with the original lectern bullet journal and then just see how you feel. I could definitely go onto a dotted notebook now. I like the dots, they're good for what I like to do. But the reason I continue with these is, like I said, I get them for gifts, but also they're really sturdy. You can do a lot to them, and they hold together really nicely. When it comes to decoration, if you like decorating things, obviously you can draw, but also old magazines and things are brilliant for things like these. I don't buy any papers. These are all things I've taken out of magazines. The only thing I've bought recently actually is like a little craft notebook of paper. It's for scrapbooking, and it's just all different kinds of paper. But generally, if I have a magazine lying around, then I will use some of the pages ripped out there, which is what these are. And then I have washi tape. I use a permanent thin liner. That's about it. Or printouts of my Instagram photos, which you'll see in November. So given that you guys haven't seen this journal, let's just have a really quick flick through. I always start with these lectern journals at the beginning. I use the future log, and the idea with that is that you put any important dates so that you can remember people's birthdays and stuff, and that's basically what I use it for. So when I'm doing my November spread, I can come back and see whose birthday it is and write that in, for example. So I use that. So when I start a new journal in the middle of the year, I will do it as if it's brand new and just say kind of continued. So I'll always pop a quote at the beginning, And my quotes I write in are really just dependent on what my mood is at that moment. So at the beginning of the journal, I always like to sit and do a doodle. I haven't erased my pencil drawing, which is interesting, so that's half finished. But create a nice moment for yourself at least once a day. Nice little quote for the kind of overall journal. I like to have quotes. I like to be able to look back and think. When I write a quote, or I get a quote of Pinterest, I'll know where my head was at that moment. So it brings back that moment for me. And my word of the year is trust, so I've written that in again, tried to make that page look quite pretty. And then I always have the same things at the beginning of my bullet journals. In this case, I've got goals here and I've got books I want to read, doing fairly well on this list. And actually I need to stick in an extra part, or maybe continue the list over here, because I've really been going for it with books. I think I've read about 10 books this year so far, which is good for me. And then I have a random quote, a really cute picture out of a magazine, and then a cat doodles page, because why not? Leaf Lane Studios, things and ideas that I've got to go on. Random acts of kindness, I'm just going to flick through that because that's just for me, that page. And then on to July. So I usually start my monthly spreads with a quote and then the month. So a lot of the time the quotes I put in my bullet journal will be towards giving me motivation and inspiration for business, or just continuing on the projects that I am doing at that moment. So July and August and September were quite busy months for me, so I didn't spend a lot of time actually doing the layout. I remember rushing July quite a lot. I think it had turned into July and I hadn't done it, so I sat at my desk and did it within about an hour. And I never like it that much when I do that, and I had to do that quite a lot over the summer because I was thankfully very, very busy. Didn't actually finish lettering this quote either, but I really like this quote. So everything will happen for you all of a sudden and you'll be thankful you didn't give up. Believe that. I really like that quote. Then what I've started to do every month since about July, I think, is put a oracle card. So I do meditation and I'll pull out an oracle card. I have 3 sets of oracle cards and I decide which one I want to use, and I pull out a card for the month and I write down what the card says. I have that every month now. I love doing that. I really look forward to doing that, and in fact I'm going to do November's one today. And then in July I chose to do my month per view like this, and then priorities for the month. Little quotes and things pulled out of magazines. I don't really get a lot of magazines anymore, but when I do, I make sure they're things I can reuse and recycle. So that's where all this paper comes from. So I kept the layout for July really, really straightforward. Just a week to review, nothing fancy, just a little notes section, and that was it. And then on to August. This is sort of when I had an idea come to me, although I didn't do it for August, but it came into my mind to do it from September, and you'll see that in a minute. I wanted to do a page that kind of just summed up a mood, and August was obviously a nice summer month and I wanted it to be nice and bright and happy. And so I chose the colour yellow and some images from Pinterest that made me feel really happy. So that sprung an idea up, which we'll come to in September. So this is what my August spread looked like. Don't know why I decided to go with lots of circles, but there you go, there it is. Card of the month, and the blue and yellow theme went throughout. So I looked on Pinterest for yellow kind of quotes and pictures and things and printed them out. And then the layout was very similar to, in fact, the same as July. Really straightforward, didn't have a lot of time, was very, very busy. As you can see, had a lot going on, so I just kept it really straightforward. It started getting messier as the month went on, as you can see. Leaf Lane Studio was a year old, 1st of September. I had my gratitude list here. This is how I decided to keep notes of things I was grateful for, because as you know, if you see my blog every Sunday, I do a gratitude list. So that helps me keep track of that. Then on to September, I started to do a manifestation board per month for the month, and there's a lot of continuation. Every month is kind of similar, but this is the first month I did it, and I really enjoyed doing it. I save on a private board on Pinterest some images that I feel represent where I'm at in my head for that particular moment. And for September, it was about, I started thinking about how I'd like to go off and do a yoga / self-care retreat, and I have my eye on a Mel Wells one that she does in Bali, so I just took a picture of Bali and I put it there. I wanted to get some new plants, which I actually did do. I treated myself to some new plants for my Leaf Lane Studio birthday. I wanted to start working with some brands and increase my Leaf Lane Studio visibility online, which ended up going a bit wrong just because I got poorly. but we're getting there. Thinking a lot about my health and just collaboration with brands. Some of this stuff did happen actually, although the Bali retreat didn't happen, but that's a long-term manifestation goal. When I did the September layout, I wasn't very happy with it. Again, I was very busy, so I didn't have a lot of time, and I just kind of threw it together. I changed the month per view to a list. Again, this was initially down to time because I didn't have time to draw everything out, but I actually quite liked how this looked. And I carried that on for a while as well. And then I did this, and now looking back, I did this for 2 months, did it September, October, and I just think, why the hell did I do this now? And I wouldn't recommend it. Tasks were kind of like a to-do list, goals were bigger goals, projects were kind of my work projects, and then the month ahead, birthdays and things and dates that were important. And it was just too much. It was like having 3 to-do lists. And then onto a really basic spread for September. Again, super duper busy, lots going on. Started to get a bit poorly in September. See my latest vlog, which I'll link below if you haven't seen that. Nothing too major to worry about, but just wasn't feeling very well, and it just got a little bit empty. October I had a bit more time, worked on a really nice opening spread. Really happy with how this looks actually, and I really like that quote. I think it's pretty cute. I was really feeling the meditation and the spiritual kind of theme for October. And yeah, I do keep little keepsakes of things that I like. My dad had written me a little note, so I stuck that on there and I kept that, so that's always there. Card of the month again, and then the same layout as the previous month in terms of the month to view, and then me realising that actually this whole idea was just overwhelming and I wasn't doing anything because it looked too much. Journal was short and sweet because I wasn't well, and then another quote which I really like, and some autumn doodles. And then my layout, I actually really liked it, how I did this. Let me get to a quieter looking one so we can see it better. So I put the month up here, which I like seeing, and I just dotted the week that we were on. And then I put a to-do list here. My whole idea was taking those absolutely bonkers lists, taking things off of there and putting them here, and then kind of delegating them out to the days of the week. So I kind of like that idea, but I didn't get to use it much. Gratitude list and just a rough quote there. So let's get on to November. It's a fresh month, and I think I really like this layout, so I'm going to talk you through this and the thoughts behind this. For me personally, I really enjoy a minimum approach to bullet journaling when I'm busy, but I also love spending time and drawing if I have time, and because of the way my health's been, I've had a bit more time on my hands to sit and doodle and things. So now I'm back on my feet a little bit more and I'm feeling better. I wanted to make sure that my November spread was something that I looked forward to going into and was inspiring for me, and I spent a lot of time on it. And that's not going to be the case for everybody, and it's not always the case for me that you're going to have the time, but it's something nice if you start it like a month ahead and you do it in the evenings, which is what I did with this. When I was feeling you know, just like I wanted to sit quietly for half an hour and doodle, I would do this in the evenings in October, so it was ready. I think the mistake that I often make is I forget to do my spread and then I do it last minute and then I don't like it. But I do, this is the most consistent journal I have ever had. I love that everything is together in one place, and it just works for me fantastically well. So on to this month. My big focus for November is on my business, and on catching up with myself a bit from having several weeks where I've not really been able to work that much, and getting my ideas into fruition and really stepping into a new gear of work and working not longer but just harder in the time that I have. So I wanted my quotes to reflect that, and I wanted the journal to be really inspirational. So the first quote I wanted to be really inspirational and motivational. So here we go. In order for things to change, you have to see them as you want them to be rather than continuing to observe them as they are. This is Abraham Hicks quote, and I love it. So it's a really good kickstart for November. A little doodle there. This is my theme throughout. It's kind of botanical cups, cups of tea, because, you know, tea is the best. Here we go, into November. I went back to the box layout and I took it over 2 pages, so I have plenty of room. And I really like this. I've gone heavy on the quotes and heavy on the doodles, but I am super happy with it. So I've gone botanical, I've gone a little bit kind of moons and stars in there as well. few quotes dotted around, like this one by Tony Robbins. It's not what we do once in a while that shapes our lives, it's what we do consistently. And that is a message that I need to get into my head, is the cold consistency thing. So set yourself up to motivate yourself. If you know that you're lacking, and you know, like, for example, that maybe your health and fitness is your main aim, then fill it with things that are going to motivate you and use it that way. My manifestation page, again, similar kind of ideas, things that I would find useful for my business, collaborations. I want to try and get my hair done. I want to focus a bit on self-care. I've changed the way I do this slightly. I've got my oracle card space there. I'm going to fill that out today. A little quote on manifestation, and then in here, this is just a piece of tracing paper that I folded up to make a little envelope. And in here, I've written a little letter to the universe. Just a few hopes and dreams for the rest of the year ahead. I'm just going to keep that in there and keep opening it and reading it every now and again, and then it's something I can look back on and see whether I managed to achieve that. Spaces for journal there. November to-do list, really straightforward. And then on to my weekly spread. I've basically, let's go on to a clear week so you're not seeing all my scribbles here. I basically, on each week, I've left myself room, obviously, for the days. It looks a bit more kind of messy in a way, but it's creatively messy. I've left room for a few to-dos in the days there, and then in amongst it, I've mixed up on every single week notes for newsletters, general notes section, because I always need a general notes section, otherwise I start randomly drawing everything. I've also added a self-care box, and in my self-care box I've popped training, so the gym, meditation, reading and yoga, and I've done that on every week, as you can see there. And not every week looks the same. I've got a little note for newsletters there, notes for newsletters, but what I like about this is it looks interesting and pretty, and I really like that I spent time on this. What I am going to do, if you guys are interested, is these doodles that I've done here, including some of these ones, and smaller versions of some of the ones that I've done throughout, like this and this. I'm going to turn into some sticker packs eventually. Hopefully, it won't be before Christmas, it'll be after Christmas. Sorry, that's Gizmo's little bell that you just heard there. But yeah, if you guys are interested, let me know in the comments, and I shall put some sticker packs together so that you can use them for your own bullet journal. Let me know what you think. So yeah, this layout is really simple. Printed off some Instagram photos, little bear there, quotes that I like or things out of magazines. Left myself space for some doodles there. So these little things, you know, as stickers, I think will look kind of pretty. So just let me know what you think. Yeah, my weekly spreads are really creative and inspirational and kind of cute, and I'm really super happy with them. And that is November, really. I haven't an awful lot to say about it at the moment, but I know that I'm already enjoying using it. This is a photo from the Eden project, which I took in the springtime, and I really love it. But just, I think if you're new to bullet journaling, just give yourself space to grow. My first bullet journal was so varied that it was all over the shop, really, and I certainly did some spreads which I hated, and I probably didn't use it. But don't think to yourself, oh god, you know, I don't want to use it anymore. Just turn the page. Don't rip the page out, just turn the page, or glue the pages together. But this has really taught me to use notebooks properly, because as an artist I tend to have that kind of blank page thing where I don't want to use something, and then if it goes wrong, it's like the whole thing is tainted. But just, you know, I've had plenty of mistakes in here and plenty of things that I don't like, but just don't be scared to try things, and if you don't like it, then just glue the pages together, or stick something over it, stick a quote over it, or paint acrylic paint over some white acrylic paint, and then draw a picture or do a doodle or stick a photo over it and start again. Or if you do a whole weekly spread and you hate it, you know, don't do it the next week. Perhaps don't plan a month in advance until you know that what you're doing is what you like. So perhaps just do 1 week, and then, you know, if you have your where are we, if you do it the way that you have this, so you know you've got your important dates in here and so maybe some notes or something, and then you just plan 1 week and you think, yep, that works for me, great, and then eventually the next month you'll know what you like. So start simple and grow, and don't put yourself under pressure for the lettering or anything like that. You can buy some resources online. I'm going to be doing some printables soon, so sign up to my From Lucy with Love newsletter. I'll put a link in the description box, I'm going to be doing some free bullet journal printables at some point, including lettering parts that you can cut out and stick in, so make sure you're signed up to that. They're all plans I have for the future, as well as things you can purchase on Etsy at some point as well, so sign up to that, but don't put yourself under any pressure to letter things like, you know, like this. Just be you, and then gradually introduce some other things that you like, or cut things out of magazines, and just enjoy it, you know. And these are things that you'll look back on and they'll hold so many memories for you. Don't worry about all of the different things you can use in a bullet journal. Don't get overwhelmed. Just pull the things that you like and put them into yours, and don't worry about what everyone else is doing, because there are so many different trackers and things that people do, and I've tried them but they don't work for me. So now I know what I like to have in my month, and then occasionally I throw extra things in there as well. So just be experimental and enjoy it. And yeah, that's all. So I hope you enjoyed that. Please give this video a thumbs up if you did, and subscribe if you're new, and I will see you guys in my next video. Thanks for watching, guys. Bye.